Hi, this is January 2022. Long time no see, right? It's been about 3 years since I did a sit down video and thought this was overdue. The last time you saw me do a sit down video, that was, like I said, back in 2019, and which was later released last year until I felt it was an appropriate time to do so. Um, but since then, I've moved 3 times, and not sure how long I'll be here. But you might have noticed the latest one I put out was the Zyprexa 5.0. Just a little takeoff on where I'm living and what's going on in the world, and um, so I just wanted to. Uh, Put on another one now, just some with additional updated info that I did not cover, and just to expand upon from 2019 and in the Zyprexa 5.0. And you might recognize I'm wearing this shirt, and there's a reason for it. And of course, it essentially stems back from my experience with big pharma and anonymous legalized drug pusher, right? So, but I'm going to, I like to use the word a can of worms, as the saying goes, as far as additional information I have since discovered, some of which I've touched upon, but I have some other new info I wanted to pass along. And again, largely dating back over the events of the past decade. And of course, it was 10 years ago this month, January 2012, when I, began coming off the friggin' Zyprexa. And again, I'm not going to get into the whole story and the withdrawal end of things, because I've done that before. But, so it's been, what, 5.5 years now? Because that was September 2015, when I stopped taking it finally. And yes, I still am dealing with insomnia. On the odd occasion, I will have a decent or half-decent night, such as last night. But again, as you may recall, I think with numbers and by my calculations, I still feel the cumulative total number of hours of sleep losses easily 6,000, if not 7,000. And of course, I never compensated or made up for that. Okay, so that's what I live with, and as you can probably imagine, the toll it's taken on my overall health, from head to toe, more or less. Of course, trying to stay focused with your attention span can be quite difficult. And I'm not going to dismiss that with to age related, because it's like I say, you try dealing with insomnia for 10 years, then get back to me and tell me how you're doing, right? So I'm looking at my notes here because I had to jot down different things I wanted to mention. But so I'll just say about the shirt I'm wearing. Well, actually, you know what? I'll save that to the second half. But going back to the can of worms, okay. And again, sorry for repeating myself, and again, it comes down to the truth, okay. And this is what it's about. And that's where it starts, okay. And if you don't have the truth, you're not going to, know the rest of the story, and you won't be able to do anything in life, or have anything in life, or have what you want. So again, granted, that was almost 7 years ago in 2015, with the, after the 18-month-long investigation, and being dismissed with insufficient evidence, to substantiate allegations, case closed, not even a slap on the wrist with you know who, have a nice day. And, and again, I touched upon how, and again, it was after that is when the can of worms started to be unleashed, as I say, between finding out how it was conducted by somebody, the investigation was conducted by someone who lives less than a mile away from who up the street, and and also happens to be married to an attorney. Doesn't hurt. And of course, and I knew, I was well aware during the 18 years that I wasted, emphasis on that word waste, 18 years of my life that I wasted with her. She was clearly a staunch liberal. And, I'm sorry to put a political spin, but you have to. And again, this is all a component. It's all part of the whole greater, systems approach of looking at the situation, okay? And, but honestly, I think I underestimated her political connections, okay, and affiliations, and these exist on local, state, and even federal levels, okay? And yes, I am taking a risk in to some extent by even talking about this, but, as I say, my life is a small price to pay to take down authority and expose it. So, and to get put the political component and political spin on it, and I touched upon this in the resurrection video, but seriously, just to enlighten people, okay, this was the equivalent. And as I like to tell, and I've been telling people these past few years, since I went silent, but all you have to do is envision the authoritarian bitchiness of Hillary Clinton, okay, combined, here's where it gets worse, combined with the dementia of Biden, giving out these toxic drugs, and such. And this is what I put up with for 18 years, and of course with the passage of time, it only got worse. Okay, with the carelessness, the recklessness, the dementia, the incompetence. But like I said, the state medical licensing board didn't have a problem with that. Putting me in, harm's way or anybody else. And on a related note, and this is the latest worm to come out of the can, so to speak. I've only turned one person about this on here, and you know who you are, wink wink. Recently, in the fall of 2021, okay, you're going to love this. So I recently became acquainted with someone else who saw her back in the day, okay? And yes, it was in the same time frame, about 12 years ago or so. And it's a small world, as the saying goes, and starting comparing notes and horror stories. And see, this is where it really gets interesting because, and again, as far as the whole, with her being spaced out, the dementia, and I mentioned this, he knew exactly what I was talking about. You see, so again, this is helpful to know that, it adds to my credibility of what I was claiming, okay? As opposed to having people, say, oh, well, I don't know what I'm talking about, or I'm just, exaggerating. No. You see, and again, it's like people not wanting the truth to be told. There's that word again. But upon, like I said, comparing notes and such, and as he told me, metaphorically, she had me on every drug, and I was like, oh shit, here we go again, right? And of course, this is what these legalized drug pushers do, as most of us have been there ourselves, right? I call it the psychopharmacological equivalent of Wheel of Fortune, right? They just spin the wheel, and which one are they going to put you on for this month, right? Oh, that one doesn't work, we'll try this one. I'll try Zyprexa for 500, yeah. Yeah, no. We've been down that road before. Yeah, thank you very much. And, so apart from, she had me on every drug, and of course, it didn't take her long to go for the hard stuff with the neuroleptics, okay? And now, unfortunately for him, and this may have been, I'm not sure, it may have been a contributing reason why he got the hell away from her. Well, her wonderful drugs were making him feel suicidal, but hey, shit happens, right? Or as Peter Gutcher would say in Denmark, blame the patient, not the pill, right? Or as I like to take it a step further, remember, blame the patient, not the clinician and the legalized drug pusher, right? Because that's what it's all about in this business. But the saving grace for this fellow survivor, because we don't want to use the word victim because that sounds very pathetic, right? So this fellow survivor, and for that matter, the saving grace for both of us is that we, got away from her when we did, okay? Because the bottom line, if we hadn't, we would have been both dead, long ago, okay? Like I said, I have a problem with that, but the state medical licensing board doesn't. The same establishment which grants these people the license to to do this. And by the way, didn't mean to take the glasses off. I don't know if I should do this or not, but I don't know if you can see how bad the eyes look underneath. That's what the 10 years of insomnia will do to you. So I mean, in a way, the glasses help because they kind of hide the carnage on the below the eyes. But in a couple other things about with this fellow survivor, okay, and the legalized drug pusher is that you need to understand, and again putting these various components involved in the situation, the political component, the clinical, big pharma, the Hillary component, the ultra-feminist big, pardon my language, and what I can also tell you is, two things. She clearly liked having control over men, and she likes to have the world portray her as being victimized by men. Okay, and again, this is part of my enlightenment, which again began 10 years ago. Although again, the writing was on the wall prior to that. I will tell you, I just want to share this. I remember about 25 years ago, back in around 1997, talking about relationships or having a relationship with someone, and she makes this comment to me of saying how her mother had told her at some point earlier in her life, there were plenty of other fish in the sea. Now, what does she mean by that? So in other words, something, she didn't get the catch, I guess, or maybe, some man out there screwed her over big time, and some kind of flying around here. But see, that's what I strongly suspect happened to her at some point in life. And, I tell people I know her better than any of her husbands. And I know what goes on inside of her head, and it's absolutely despicable. So again, you have to put that feminist spin on the situation. And what other better way of getting your evil, demonic, sick, perverse kicks out of having otherwise vulnerable men, come into your office or what have you, and drugging them up for life, by her own admission, and watch them wither away, and turn into dust, right? I mean, this is what happened. And again, to also inject a political spin on it, combination political and feminist spin on it. I mean, even back in, going into the 2020 election, She had written, she was writing this letter of endorsement, for in news media, endorsing some, young millennial bitch, but at the very end, she took this real cheap shot at the incumbent male in state government. And see, in the way she structured the sentence, of course, you see, it was as if, she was being victimized by this, person in government. See, this is how she wants the world to portray her as, you see, and so, so the bottom line is, and I will tell you, as a result of this whole freaking experience, it's like I just do not look at people the same way ever again. It doesn't matter, if they're neighbors or if they're, healthcare providers or people in the store you might see or whatever. It's like I just look at people in a very different way. And yes, that also includes people on the friggin' internet too, right? But I'm sure people could say the same thing of me, right? And on a related note to grocery stores, of course, and of course, so I've been getting back out into the world in these past 3+ years, right? And I go to a different variety of, stores, shopping, and I kid you not, literally almost every time, I'm out grocery shopping, I will see someone, especially from the back, the hair looks just like you know who. And it's almost like, instant trauma. Not only it's upsetting, but it's like, of course, you have to understand from my perspective, she fucked me over big time, okay? And clinically and legally and politically got away with it, And it's just incredible. It's like, I'm not kidding. Almost every time, like I said, I go out and it's like I see somebody who reminds me of her. So I don't know if that classifies as PTSD or not. I don't know, but does it really matter at this point? But, and you know what, what these clinical authoritarians do, okay? And yes, I think I briefly touched upon this recently, but and I'm going to use the R word, okay? It's a form of rape, okay? Between drugging people up for the rest of their lives, and or if they're using ECT or screwing around, getting inside your heads, trying to transform you into somebody to comply with their clinical way of existence or their clinical business model, or or of course there's that wonderful topic of having inappropriate relations with a patient in your office. Believe me, I've seen that at least twice. Back where I lived previously. So, but just so you know, that the R word there, doing it backwards, the R word, rape. See, that is something. No, seriously, you need to understand this. This is something I first became acquainted with. Not from I didn't come up with it myself, but as most of you know, Peter Bregan, and he started using this word. At least I first started hearing him use this word a few years ago when talking about these different treatments or so-called treatments that these these authoritarian clinician and legalized drug pushing prescribers use. Okay, it's a form of rape, and of how they enjoy having that authority and control over patients and it's it just equated to either some kind of abuse or relationship, spousal abuse or whatever, just having that kind of dominating authoritarian control over your subordinate patient. That's what it's about with these people, okay? And I'm sure, hopefully many of you already know this, okay, but it just needs to be said. Um, and, but, I mean, the bottom line is with the, um, other things I touched upon in the resurrection video, and, and now becoming acquainted with, this fellow survivor, and having a, and uncovering a bunch of other info about the legalized drug pusher. I'm telling you, okay, and sorry to rehash this again, but with that, 18-month-long investigation ending in 2015, insufficient evidence, case closed. Okay, I am telling you, it was some kind of either cover-up or political inside job, okay, with political connections, okay. I am sure of it, okay. I am sure of it, okay. And it's just, and you see, it's all about the truth, because, they they just they don't want the truth coming out. It's as simple as that, okay. We all know that. In fact, I mean, and just so you know, I have told either in these past 3 years or so, either people from other people in a clinical capacity, or even some, like, I get out because I don't drive anymore, but I get out on Lyft and such, and I've even told some of my favorite Lyft drivers, so to speak, but again, it doesn't matter for them or other, even healthcare providers. I mean people I tell this to, they, as far as the whole inside job cover up and all this, I mean, people are just astounded. I mean, I've had other mental health clinicians just shake their heads in disgust, being told that there was no disciplinary action taken against her. Okay. And likewise, like I said, I've told other healthcare providers, and other people I know in life, and a lot of them are not surprised. Okay, seriously, they are not surprised that she got away with this. And if you're wondering why do I keep talking about this, because you see, chronologically, it's very simple. Because if the State Medical Licensing Board had disciplined her at my request, okay, I could have claimed victory, right, and put this authoritarian liberal bitch in her place and taught her a lesson, because this is what she likes to do. She likes to wave her finger of authority around. Oh, you need to be taught a lesson. I need to put you in your place and teach you a lesson. That's how much of fucking see you next Tuesday she is. Okay? Google the term. It's in the Urban Dictionary. And, so I mean, and the bottom line is, if I had put her in her place then in 2015, that would have been the end of it. You see? That would have been the end. And as opposed to my life taking a drastic turn, back 4 years ago. So, I just want to see how we're doing for time here. Okay, so, and otherwise, and again, as far as the truth goes, but you know what, for the most part, again, in this so-called field of medicine, if I try telling people about the truth of what happened, being drugged up for the rest of life, praising the drugs, even if they happen to kill you, okay, but again, that's not even grounds for a slap on the wrist. But it's like, for the most part, most clinicians in this business, okay, they don't want to hear it. I mean, they're not interested. They're not interested, because again, they're all part of the nucleus of the problem, right? And what I was just saying about, if the licensing board had done something about this 7 years ago, and put her in her place, that would have been end of story. You see, and like I said, with my life taking a drastic turn, and just so you know, and I have not mentioned this, when I was away, I use that term metaphorically. When I was away, there were a couple times where they used the term decompensated, and what happened with me, because it was such a shock to my system, where I started hearing voices. Okay, I am not happy to admit this. Okay, it's the type of thing you never think is going to happen to you. All right, and it did, because like I said, it was a shock to my system. Of course, I was also dealing with instant benzo withdrawal, and I did not think I was going to make it back home alive. All right, not trying to sound pathetic here. So, in case you're not aware, with this whole, hearing voices thing, when you're in a decompensating state, okay, again, you're not hearing them audibly in your ears. Okay, it's almost the best way I can describe it, and this is what I was, what I was experiencing. It was almost like as if somebody was communicating with you telepathically. Okay, like into your brain, into your mind. Okay, and that's what the, this didn't have to happen. Okay, but again, the blessing in disguise from this whole situation is that, I was kind of propelled out of my comfort zone. Not by choice, and so that in turn has helped me get back out into the world, and likewise, just to wrap this up as far as the shirt and such, and I touched upon this in the first time with the Zyprexa 5.0 video. It should just, so again, there's all you have to, if you want to know more, seriously, just go truthfreedomhealth.com, okay? Do yourself a favor, it would make me happy. I try not to ask for much, if you believe that. And because Dr. Shiva, as he is known as, he ran for U.S. Senate back in 2020, okay? And with my pre-existing experience with Big Pharma and, these Hillary clone legalized drug pushers, it was just, I was compelled to follow and support him, okay? And likewise, what has been going on in the world now, with 18 plus 1. You see, this is again, and all the BS and all the lies and everything. You see, like I said, how could I not follow and support him? All right, and again, it's about the truth. And getting screwed by Big Pharma and how that trickles down into the healthcare system, okay? All right, I think some of you know by now, I'm not going to sit on my and do nothing and watch the world go by, because, as far as, all I'm going to say as far as, and I hope most of you know this, if you haven't figured it out by now, what is going on in the world, it's not just about, a virus. It's a, this is a global takedown on humanity, as someone I follow used that term, and that's spot on. Who'd ever think we'd see this in our lifetime, but, hopefully, the good will defeat the evil, right? It may take years, but, hopefully the lightness will put out the darkness, right? That's what it comes down to. All right. So just a quick look at the notes here, and I think that's going to do it. Oh, and just on a related one thing about Zyprexa, no, because and I will say in recent times, I mean, I see it's still, being given out to people for the very first time, and and I've come across people talking about it, and glowing reviews about it, and of course, I don't, I'm not going to say anything, but or comment on them, but all I can say is, well, when I see this, it's like, well, enjoy it while it lasts, right? And of course, they're just falling into the trap, and they just don't get it. So, and so hopefully this video does not get deleted by the powers that be. So I don't know. I don't think I've violated any TOS, so hopefully everything will be okay. All right. All right, that's 31 minutes. That's enough, so I'll shut up now. I have no idea if this might be the only video that I make, just for the 2022 update. In case if any of you are wondering, I've done some, I've done some videos, as you may know, of certain collectibles, I'll call them, or ornaments or what have you, and put them in action. So I have a few more of those in the pipeline coming, so I'll give you something to look forward to, hopefully. All right, so and whether if you're 5 miles away or 5,000 miles away, thank you for thank you for your words over these past 9 years. All right, so I'll let it go at that. All right, thank you. Bye.